Raptor Center. As you can hear, our red shoulders greeting you guys. So today we are going to be doing voluntary weights. Last week you guys got to see some really cool flights by one of our great horned owls, and that took a lot of training. But a lot of training goes into our husbandry techniques as well. And one of the major husbandry techniques that we focus on is being able to fly to the scale comfortably without being nervous. So Kate is going to be doing weighing one of her birds here today, and you guys get to see how we do this. Weighing our birds is really important because it does help us kind of determine the overall health of our bird. We do have a weight range for all of our birds, and we like to make sure they're at the higher end of their weight range and nicely in there. This is one of our Eurasian eagle owls that is being weighed. And as you can see, he sits nicely on the scale until Kate can get a reading on his weight. Not only do we focus on weight for the health of our birds, we do something called keel checks and do a score on those keels. The keel is the bone on the breast muscle, and so we want to make sure that is muscle and not fat. We want to make sure that it's not too round or too pointy. We have a nice system going on that we can determine their muscle, which is also very important.
We also go by behavior.
Yes.
And so if you watched, for me to get Bart to come out, everything that they do is voluntary. So when I get him out, I simply walk in, I present my glove to him, and that is his cue that if he would like to participate in the training session, that he makes the choice to fly over to my glove. So I'm not forcing him to do anything. He has no equipment. Everything that he has done thus far has been voluntary. And if I were to go in there and he did not want to participate, he chose not to fly to my glove, to me that's a really good indication that his weight is probably up, which means that his motivation is down. So I would probably adjust his food amount accordingly. As you can see, he's a very hungry boy. And today on the menu it is Mises pieces. So it's mouse cut up into small pieces, and we cut them up into small pieces so that we can use them for our entire training session. That is their reward when they choose to make those good decisions. So I'm going to go put him away. He's done a really good job. His weight is in a really good range. So I'll go put him away and we'll move on to the next bird.
All right, so we are going to follow Carol to our next area of birds. Bart's main job, the Eurasian eagle owl that you saw, is one of our educators. So he's someone that we bring out to schools and school groups when they come, and they get to see how cool and how big owls can be. And as you can see, he is a gorgeous bird to look at. He tends to be a fan favorite when he comes out in front of kids.
So this is a broadwing hawk named DC. We are actually able to take him out of the keeper area to weigh him. So Kate's going to set that up.
The weight ranges that we keep our birds in between also depend on the time of year. In the winter time, we do want them to increase their weight a little bit to make sure they are at a healthy weight that they can stay warm themselves. Just like out in the wild, these guys are going to put on weight naturally in the winter time, and that's okay. We want to encourage that. So we do adjust different weights and food amounts depending on the time of year as well.
This is his migration season, so we keep that in mind.
Something that also might affect their weight is breeding season. Our lovely females sometimes lay eggs because their bodies are telling them to, and they will increase their body weight with that as well. So as you can see, it took him a little bit, but he eventually did decide to step up on the glove, got a nice little treat for that so Carol can get a weight on this handsome boy.
I haven't had a weight on him in a couple weeks just because he hasn't been motivated. He's packed on a lot of weight because of that migration season, and that's just something we monitor. Huh.
All right, going back to Kate with one of
have
her
one
birds.
scale.
Yes, we have one scale, so we all are sharing.
All right, so this guy, we use a different technique because he's always very, very excited to come out. So I actually put the scale here and I put some food on it, especially with newer birds, an object that they might not be used to. So putting food on the scale is a good way to entice them to make sure that they are comfortable being on the scale. We just have to make sure we put it on, so we don't take the food into account. So then when I open up the door, he's just going to go straight to the scale. So this is a lanner falcon. These guys are native to the Middle East and down in northern Africa. And then once I have him on the glove, then we can give him the rest of his food. Today, our falcons are actually eating quail. So we try to vary what our birds eat on a daily basis, and we try to base that off of their natural history. Falcons do eat a lot of birds. They're the fastest animal in the world, so they can eat whatever they want, and typically they like to catch their food mid-air, so they're eating a lot of other birds. And quail is a bird that people farm, so it's readily available to us, and it's got lots of really good nutritious meat, and our falcons love it. So that's what he is feasting on today. And again, we cut it up into those small pieces so we can use it in our training practices.
Some other husbandry behaviors that we like to train are putting equipment on and off. As you can see near his feet, he has something called anklets. And we attach jesses to the anklets, and then we attach a leash to the jess.
So I'm going to show you what that... So we work on that going in, and then once he sits nice for that, then I would give him a reward for doing that. And give him a reward, and then we'll take it out. And what we want is for them to be comfortable with it. We want them to keep their feet down because that keeps us safe. And we just want to make sure that they're comfortable with us being in their space. And again, everything is voluntary, so he has full ability right now to fly off the glove if he wanted to. So if you watch him, you can see him moving his neck and doing this. You may have also noticed that at the start of him to now, this area right here in his chest has gotten really, really big. That's because all of the quail that he ate has gone down and is sitting right here. It's an organ called their crop, and it's just a food storage area. It's just kind of an elongation of their esophagus, and so it goes and sits in there, and throughout the day that food is going to go down into their stomach. So what he's doing right now is he's trying to make room for more food. So that's why he's pushing like this, and he's trying to push that food through his crop down into his stomach. And he's going to clean up the glove a little bit, get all the little bits of the rest of the quail.
Does he eat the bone?
Does he eat the bone? He does. You might have heard that crunching going on. I do remove some of the bones, especially in the quail, because they can get really, really sharp, and so I don't want him to injure himself while he's eating. So I do remove some of the sharper bones, but the bones are good when they crunch on those bones and use their beak to break the bones. That helps naturally keep their beak in really good shape. We also give them the perches that they stand on. We cover it with kind of a rough substance, and not only does that help keep their feet in good shape, but they can rub their beak on it, and again, it's kind of like a nail file. Using that on your nails, it keeps their beak in really good shape.
Do they eat the feathers that are on the birds?
They do. So falcons are known for plucking their prey. A lot of times in mid-air, they'll pluck the feathers off, especially the larger flight feathers. They don't have any nutritional value, they just kind of get in the way, so they'll pluck them off. So a lot of times we will give our birds for enrichment, we will give them just the wings of the quail, and so that they can go through that motion of plucking off. They can also use their beak, because there is a little bit of meat on the wing. They can use their beak and really get in there and pick out the meat. So it's good enrichment for them. It keeps them mentally stimulated and helps just kind of work through those natural behaviors that they would be doing.
He has some really long toes.
He does. Falcons do have really, really long toes. Again, to help them grip their prey when they are in midair. So the smaller falcons eat a lot of bugs, and we all know how hard it is to catch a fly out of midair, but falcons are really good at doing that, and having those long toes and sharp talons allow them to have really good grip on their prey. Oh, there's the feather.
They're getting a little bit of everything. No leftovers behind.
You'll also notice on the falcon the stripes coming down from his face. Those are called malar stripes, and you may also notice that cheetahs have those, and they have those to keep their eyes protected from the sun. So they act as kind of a buffer from the bright sun bouncing off of their light cheeks and would be going into their eyes. So they have those dark stripes there to kind of reduce that glare. You may also have seen football players and baseball players put that on their face. It does the same exact thing, and they happen to steal that from the animal kingdom. All right, we're gonna put him back.
Thank you guys so much for watching us do our voluntary weights with our birds. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and we will answer them as quickly as we can. Thank you again for staying with us and watching us from your homes. We really appreciate all the support that our visitors have given us, even if they're not here to physically visit us. So stay safe out there, and we will see you tomorrow.